You gotta spread your wings and do different things. Like, everybody's done boring stuff, man. Wild out.
You see him daily on Dish Nation.
It's a family, man. It's almost like a gang that you don't got to get jumped in or out of.
But he's so much more than just a DJ and talk show host.
The second I get bored, I'm gonna find weird things to do on the side that's gonna like feed my passion.
Yeah, he got opportunities, but he definitely made the most of them.
You know, everybody's handed a microphone. What you'll say into it will predicate the things that you'll be remembered for.
And along with everything else, did you remember Dish Nation's HeadKrack is also a hip-hop artist? And he's here on The Pulse.
Let's chill out for a minute. Yo.
I might be mad at this guy because there's a handful of people out there who take all the jobs. It's like it's Steve Harvey, it's Nick Cannon, it's HeadKrack. You know him from Dish Nation, from radio, hip-hop artist, been in a couple movies. How are you, sir?
Yo, I'm doing fantastic, man. How about yourself, brother?
I'm good, but listen, that's the thing I was saying. Much success. I appreciate everything you're doing, but y'all take all the jobs, man. You guys make it hard out here for a brother.
Well, I will say that I recently gave up one of those jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like I had to do a Kaepernick and take a knee from radio for a minute. But, you know, between point A and point B, I may make a return at some point or another. And I'm like, you know, like soiling my other creative oats, which, you know, I always love the seasons when you get to create and do different things. Like, you know, like last year I was training to fight, you know what I mean? And then, you know, and that was fun within itself too. And then, you know, so like now this allows me to put more time into music and stuff like that and working on like acting and also, you know, hitting the comedy circuit as well.
I read about you leaving the radio show. Wasn't that your show? Like you created the show.
Radio is a very interesting thing. You know what I'm saying?
I did radio for 15 years. I hear you.
Okay, so you know about the politics that go on behind the scenes and, you know, the secret hands that move certain things. And then it gets to a point where you have to be like, you know, well, wait a daggone minute. You know what I mean? And decide whether or not you want to, like, you know, come and torch the place or just be like, you know, tip your hat and walk out, you know, slowly and, you know, and still have a good public standing. And I did the latter.
Okay. And the radio show was kind of the foundation for Dish Nation. So all good still with Dish Nation.
Oh, no, the Dish Nation is Gucci. You know what I'm saying? It's like the side chick that treats you better. But but
it's a valid point.
When we started on that Dish Nation journey almost 12 years ago, it was on the strength of the Ricky Smiley morning show and all the players that was involved in that. But then it continued to evolve into something that didn't necessarily have to be connected to radio, which, you know, like, you know, definitely worked out for a lot of people because, you know, Portia was on the show. Portia didn't have a radio show, but, you know, we treated her, you know, just like she was part of the radio family. Yeah. And even now, like, as we've evolved, we got Tamar, we got Jesse Wu, we got my man Tanner Thompson, and it's evolved from what it began and, you know, versus what it is now. So that's kind of cool.
How'd you get started in radio to get this going?
So let's rewind all the way back to 2000, right? And there was a station that came to town in Dallas because I used to live there. I'm originally from New York, but then, like most New Yorkers, we found some trouble and had to go down south. I went further south than most people and went all the way to Dallas, right? And there was a station came to town called 97.9 The Beat. They didn't have any DJs. So me and my homie Kino, who's, you know, 1/3 of the rap group that I'm in called the Bodega Brovas, we was like, yo, let's make a tape and turn it in. Let's see, you know, let's get this radio show. Maybe we could do overnights. So we turned in a tape. Not only did they not want us to do overnights, they wanted us to do the 6 to 10 show, like prime time, PM. So we became their night show, eventually became the #1 night show in the city. And between point A and point B, they needed to build a new morning show. And then he took me from the night show, paired me with Ricky Smiley. And then after that, man, we was going to the moon.
You glossed over the Bodega Brothers. So through this whole period of time, you've been hip-hop artists also.
Slow dancing in my mind with a fine dime. Work grind time, hustling the overnights. So the kid can stand out like an overbite on a flight overnight. Staring at the clouds, praying that my grandmother see me and she proud.
I feel like radio hurt my music career more than not being on the radio did, you know? Because, all right, so when I was doing nights, we worked Monday through Saturday, 6 days a week. Yeah. And now when I think about it, like, yo, that was kind of criminal. Because they would really operate in a space where, like, you should just be happy to be on the radio. And, but then again, you also look, well, I'm only working 4 hours a day and like 4.5 if you count the prep time. So it seemed like a sweet deal to someone who was like, barely getting out of his teenage years and getting to like go on the radio and talk crazy and play music. But what it did limit me from doing was like touring. I would use my vacation time to go on tours. Like, I would wait strategically till like the summertime came. And then when the Vans Warped Tour would pop off, I would hop on that tour and hit a bunch of cities I ain't never been to before. And then I'd maybe save my Christmas vacation and like hit some other dates like in the Midwest and up north and whatnot.
I feel like radio people are just grinders, man. You go out there because you've had to work crazy hours, you've had to work behind the scenes, you've had to do it not always for a bunch of money. You're just like, all right, next opportunity, I'm in.
Yeah, like I don't want to discredit it by saying it's an entry level position in the world of entertainment, but if you come in the radio game and you play it well and you learn about every department and everything that could be done within those four walls, not just being on the air, like how does sales work with on-air talent, how does production work to making the product sound better across the airwaves, it teaches you so many great things and it makes you appreciate more things like once everything starts to come together a little bit better and pop off. I'm like on week 2 of not doing radio. So like rolling over at 6 a.m. is like the equivalent to me of like waking up at 8 a.m. You know what I mean? Like not getting up at 4 is amazing. Like I get up, I work out, I get to make sure my kids' clothes match, when they go to school, as opposed to like, they coming home and I'll be like, yo, you let them go out in that? So to be there for all those cool little moments that I've missed out on all these years, because I've been doing morning radio for like, oh my goodness, like almost 18 years. So there's a lot of things I didn't have the opportunity to participate in and be a part of. So it definitely feels weird and unique. And I know it's just temporary because I'm already getting other offers and I'm just trying to just not rush back into something because I really want the next thing I do has to be something that's like really true to my purpose and true to my brand.
We talked to Sherry Shepard, who you work with all the time. She came on The Pulse with us. Iyanla Van Zant came on The Pulse with us, and both of them shared similar stories. Like it was that journey to doing something that really represents you. Once you're past that point of, wait, you want to hire me? Now, I think sometimes the initial is, wait, you gonna give me a show and my name's on it? And you don't look that deep into, do I really want my name on it?
My first 4 years in radio, I would wake up every day and just like, yo, like, I can't believe that this is real.
Right, they're paying me for this.
This is my life, and I recognize the blessing that it is, but I also am aware of the hard work that I put in to maintain my competitive edge across the board.
Next on The Pulse, HeadKrack's always into something, but boxing?
Like we're both from the city, so we fought before, unsanctioned. I wonder if I could still take a punch.
This past weekend, our brother went toe-to-toe, Jeff for Jeff against Kimbo Slice Jr.
For me, it was about going the distance, fighting a big name, and scoring a knockdown. And I was able to do all of those things and get home safe.
And that's one thing about me. Like the second I get bored, I'm gonna find weird things to do on the side that's gonna like feed my passion. Like, like I didn't like decide to start boxing just because I wanted to. Like I was bored and I wanted to feel alive. And that's why I did that.
Man, I feel like we're kindred spirits. I did kickboxing for a while, and got in the best shape of my life. And it was amazing how, and I don't know if you've done this too, but it was amazing how you started viewing life's challenges by rounds. Like you're sitting in this meeting that's dragging on, and you're like, man, I can make it for another couple rounds. Like, like I'm all right. I can get through this.
It builds discipline physically and mentally.
Yeah, I feel you. And congrats on that. So you did a whole boxing thing it was a charity, get ready to go out there and box initially, right? Or did you do the boxing first and then compete in the charity stuff?
So, like we're both from the city, so we fought before, unsanctioned. You know what I mean? Okay. So, at this point in my life, being a person of a certain age, I'm like, I wonder if I could still take a punch. And I was watching celebrity boxing And I remember watching it years ago when it was on Fox, like back when like Todd Bridges fought Screech, or maybe it was Screech fought Horshack from Welcome Back, Carter. But like I remember watching it back then, thinking like one day I'm gonna do this. I don't know what day, but one day. So years went by, and then all of a sudden he brought it back, and I was watching some of those people, and I'm like, I think I'm as famous as some of these people, and I think I'm in better shape than my man right there. Let's give it a go. And I thought I was gonna fight like another DJ or another reality TV person, and initially I was, and then like 3 months in, that person pulled out, and I'm like, well, damn, who am I gonna fight now? And they're like, well, what about Kimbo Slice Jr.? And I'm like, wait a minute,
wait a minute,
he's a fighter, you know. But then I was like, you know what? Sure, let's go, because it was a challenge, and once again, I was bored.
Coming up, just look at his life and you can see HeadKrack truly believes in being in the right place at the right time.
You know, Archer just came from a like strong manifestation. I literally said one day, I want to be on Archer. And then when I went to Comic-Con, I like was standing next to the person who cast for Archer.
This has to be one of the most unusual requests, and his client always wanted to have a six-pack but wasn't keen on going to the gym.
It does look realistic. Like, if you didn't tell me that it was a tattoo, I'd been like, word.
If you look at his face and his body.
Yeah, the skin is different, baby.
He tan. Yeah, that's how I was going.
Yeah, he gonna have to get real tan to match his body.
He just didn't turn over and do the other side.
Dish Nation, you just said it's 12 years, right?
But we're getting ready to officially start season 12 in September, which is a beautiful thing, man, because I mean, you don't get to see as many melanated faces as ours, you know, on a show that's not a rerun. You know what I mean? Like, usually you haven't seen as many black people on TV at one time since like Good Times season 1. You know what I mean?
Okay, fair enough. So many people have come and gone. Like, the show continues, but people have come and gone. Surprise you, or you just kind of knew that you're what are you, the one or one of the few who's kind of made it through the whole thing, like the face of the show in a lot of ways now?
Me and Gary with the T are the R2-D2 and C3PO of Dish Nation. Like, we're the only two that have been here from like the pilot episode up until now. And am I surprised? Yeah, I am surprised. But I also, man, thank God, man. Everybody that's ever, been a part of Dish Nation, like, when they come, like, no matter what happened before they came in the studio, their eyes just bright up, because we truly are a family in there, and we really do have fun. So it's a gift and a curse. It's a paycheck, but it's also like a fun session where you get to talk crap. Like you may not have class with your homies in school, but I got the same lunch.
Yeah.
That's Dish Nation.
Y'all are really that cool. Because I'm not sure that you could do a show like that if you really didn't, have fun and interact with the people and get along with them.
No, we really truly are that cool. There ain't no faking the funk. And even the people who are no longer affiliated with the show, I was cool with most of those people too. Like, like the Dallas crew, like JC, Jenna, Kelly Raspberry, Big Al. On the West Coast side of things, like my man Chewy Martinez, we still be on each other's line all the time. And Chewy still does stuff and contributes to the show, like remotely from LA from time to time. But that, man, it's a family, man. It's almost like a gang that you don't got to get jumped in or out of.
Yeah, best kind of gang.
Best kind of gang. More like an organization.
You've done acting, Netflix movies, all kinds of stuff. Archer. Like, what's up now, man? Movies, TV, like what's the next step? And are you enjoying all that?
I'm enjoying every aspect of it, man. Like, like anytime you get to act and like shed a layer of yourself and be somebody new on camera, which, to be completely transparent, I haven't got to do much. Because usually when I act, I'm playing a variant version of myself.
Right.
But I'm like currently taking acting classes and, like preparing myself to do more seasoned and media roles. That's not me playing radio DJ, party planner, interviewer at the radio station. And then even with the voice acting, Archer just came from a, like strong manifestation. I literally said one day, I want to be on Archer. And then when I went to Comic-Con, I like was standing next to the person who cast for Archer, and he heard me asking somebody like about some food somewhere, and he's like, "Yo, are you HeadKrack for the radio?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." He's like, "Yo, I'm the caster for Archer. You ever thought about being on the show?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, "Yo, you couldn't make this stuff up."
Darryl? Pam?
Oh my God!
Why the you throwing bowling balls in the street?
Long story, funny story, and I'll tell you guys all about it over beers.
What about them?
Honestly, don't care.
Man, you're a pretty young guy to have 20 years in anything, like 20 years in the industry. But you also have been in it long enough to see the industry change. So it's interesting. You talked about earlier in the discussion, people like us not getting these types of opportunities previously, and you kind of see these doors opening. Have you noticed that?
Radio is a very shrinking industry because like every company is trying to save money.
Right.
So what you're seeing a lot happen is a lot more syndication. I even seen them using AI to voice day parts on certain stations. So that window is really starting to get tight, and that scares me because I feel like, you know, okay, cool, you can get robots to do certain things and you can get one voice to rule half the country. However, sometimes people in certain cities want people that really know their experiences to really check in with them. Philly is a very special place, and you know, you need Philly voices, or like, you know, at least people to understand the struggle of the East Coast speaking for the city of Philly. You know what I mean? Same thing with a Miami, a Chicago, a New York, a Baltimore. Like these places are very specific. And I think, you know, you can't AI that. You can't just put a big shiny name in front of that sometimes and expect it to pop off, because at the end of the day, people want to, you know, hear people that they can identify with, I feel.
I'm curious, and kind of tying it into Dish Nation and you know, I don't know, as probing as we will get. That part is fun, but that part also comes with a lot of responsibility, because the stuff that you guys do, the stuff that radio does, to some extent, the stuff that we do here, that's you. So if you say something that somebody doesn't like, they're upset with you. If you say something that is challenging somebody, you know, they didn't dislike the song, they dislike you.
It's tough sometimes, because like sometimes you'll do stories about people who are your friends or people that you have some sort of a relationship and rapport with, right? So that component is tough because, you know, if it was somebody that you didn't have a relationship or some sort of rapport with, you lean all the way in on the story, be like, yo, that person's a trash individual and I hope their Christmas is ruined because of it.
Right.
But then like somebody you knew does the exact same thing, you're a little bit quiet, or you're speaking at a 3 instead of an 8. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that component is difficult because people will always hear maybe the less flattering things you say about them and none of the positive things that you've ever said about that person in the past.
I think another thing that I really like about it is you also get the chance to kind of spread good news and things that may not always get that level of exposure. I was looking at the website earlier, you know, Tyler Perry buying homes for the homeless, you know, that kind of stuff you guys get to dwell on and spend more time on than perhaps a quick run through in a news show.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes Dish Nation so special. Like, we're not a beat 'em up kind of show. We're not like, hey, we saw such and such, you know, doing this, that, and the third. I mean, there's a smidge of that, but like, you know, our whole thing is to like make you laugh and, you know, take your mind off of whatever terrible things you maybe had to wrestle and toil with, you know, throughout the day. So it's never really 100% about the slander. Like, we do like to highlight, you know, the great things that, you know, that people do. And also, you know, just a little bit of shade, just enough to keep it interesting.
Next on The Pulse, HeadKrack shows how using his voice for good truly influenced his latest rap.
In whatever form, size, shape, or whatever you may be in, shade, there is somebody who is going to love you the way you are, but it all begins with you loving yourself.
No, you don't have to be a superstar. If I had a second chance, I would choose you the way you are. But it's up to you for you to love your scars.
You got music always coming out, but some just came out, right?
Yeah, Mona Lisa Scars, man. And, you know, the crazy thing, the timing is, and God planned this, not me, but it is International Women's Month. And Mona Lisa Scars is pretty much a celebration of just women in general. You know what I mean? There's a lot of women who look at themselves in the mirror sometimes from a day to day, and they feel like, oh man, this ain't right. My nose too wide. Or like, you know, I need to go to some country I can't really pronounce to get this surgery and that surgery, when you're really just truly beautiful the way you are, man. Like, you know, our flaws, I think that's what makes us great. You know, we strive for perfection, but perfection is already here. You know what I'm saying? And it is you. And whatever form, size, shape, or whatever you may be in, shade, there is somebody who is going to love you the way you are, but it all begins with you loving yourself.
What does use your voice for good mean to you?
For me, it's like, you know, like, hey, you can use your voice to like ask for the things you want personally, or you can use your voice to instill change within like the world around you. You know what I mean? Some of the things that I'm working on behind the scenes is me planting seeds that will hopefully benefit the next generation and the generation after that. You know, everybody's handed a microphone. What you'll say into it will predicate the things that you'll be remembered for. So, you know, at the end of the day, when people think about HeadKrack, you know, I want them to think of me as a fun person, but I also want them to think of me as a person who really thought about others.
HeadKrack has been through a lot of different things, a lot of different experiences, is embarking on his next journey, and I'm happy he decided to share it with us. Hope you enjoyed hearing all of the conversation. As always, if you want to hear the entire interview, you can go places where podcasts are available. Just hit subscribe. That way you'll get a notification every Monday when a new Pulse episode comes out. Hit me up on social media at BillAFox29. I always love hearing your comments, not so much your criticism, but I'll respond to them as well. And I leave you, as I always do, reminding you whenever you can, use your voice for good and have a good one.